Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Do you have a bit of a hard starting problem? Is your idle a little rough? Are you lacking power? Maybe it's your fuel pressure sensor.
The fuel pressure sensor is located in the frunk, and so we need to do a quick frunk rescue. We haven't given this area of the car any love in the entire time we've owned the car, really because it hasn't been able to drive. And so nothing fancy here, vacuuming, detail brush, some back to black. Here's a little before and after for you. Lovely. Alright, onward. Now that it looks all lovely, it's ready for me to destroy it again. Once you have good access to the battery area, you can remove the positive and negative cable clamps with a 10mm wrench. The battery clamp comes out with a 13mm. Keep that socket handy because the plate that the battery sits on is held in place by 4 13mm bolts. The first part of fuel pressure sensor removal is deceptively simple, just a Phillips head screwdriver. Boom. And that's the easy part. After some unsuccessful wiggling and pulling, I decided I would unplug this fuel tank vent pipe by pressing that little grey button, just to give me some more wiggle room and see if I can get it out without breaking anything. Now the fuel pressure sensor kind of needs to come apart. It looks like in 2 halves, and I can't for the life of me get it to come apart. I tried that trim tool, I tried a metal ruler, tried a screwdriver of course. No joy. Pretty solidly on there, but of course trying not to break it at the same time. This third kind of trim tool ultimately was the answer. I was able to wedge it in the little gap between the 2 pieces of plastic and start getting some movement. Once we got some movement, I was able to rotate the fuel pressure sensor a little bit. I used that same trim tool again to disconnect the electrical connector in that limited space that we have there. The needle nose pliers were handy to grab that electrical connector where my huge meat hooks couldn't reach. Here I'm just using an old clothes hanger to put a stranglehold on that connector to stop it from disappearing into the abyss. And then I brought in my old friend WD-40 to try to lube whatever's going on. There is a rubber seal in there. After some more twisting and pulling and encouragement from that trim tool, it finally popped out. I'm going to use some compressed air on that hole just to clean out any debris that might be in there. And then it's going to check the resistance. Here's the old one. The middle and right pin give us an ohm reading of 5.1 ohms resistance. Here's the new one, again middle and right pin, and it says 5.6. So that's not really significant. I think that the electrical part of this new and old one are working okay. But I wonder about that seal. If we're losing fuel pressure, could it be that the old seal is just letting fuel past? If you look at them there, the new one on the left-hand side, maybe that seal is better, but I think we would smell fuel. Looking at how this thing is designed now, if there was fuel leaking past that into that battery compartment, we'd smell it. Okay, I'm putting the new one back in with a little bit of white lithium grease on that seal to make it easier to go in. I'm also cleaning the electrical connections with some mass airflow cleaner, like electrical cleaner, but it won't damage any of the plastic. And then connecting it back together, popping it back in the area, which is much easier than getting it out, my gosh. Right now, ready for the Phillips head screw. Then just pop that vent pipe back in. That's it. We're going to put the tray for the battery back in with those 4 13mm. The battery goes in, and then there's a clamp on one side which has another 13mm. I'm going to connect the vent pipe to the battery also. And finally, the positive and negative battery connectors can be tightened with a 10mm wrench.
So that's how you replace a fuel pressure sensor on one of these Porsche 911s. Not too difficult in the big scheme of things. The reason why I was trying that fuel pressure sensor replacement was in an effort to try to fix this hot start issue that we've been having with this car. We've been doing quite a lot of diagnosis to try to figure out what is causing the problem, and the fuel pressure sensor was a simple, cheap one to try to throw at it until we go a little bit deeper. Unfortunately though, that's all we have time for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.
Hold on, what's the dog doing? Oh yeah, subscribe now. Delta says thank you.